activity. And behind me on the same picture, now whenever you have a close-up shot of the southeast U.S. like this and you have such a massive hurricane like this in the same area, once again, it bears our watching. The eye is very well developed and a very concentric storm. The thunderstorms have wrapped totally around the center of the storm. And as I mentioned, it is still moving to the west at 14 miles per hour, and we'll obviously keep you updated throughout the course of the week. Over the next 72 hours, the official track, unfortunately, takes it up to the west, then northwest, and then scooting along the coastline. We'll have to watch that closely as the next 24 to 36 hours bears out, though the latest 11 p.m. advisory puts the storm east of us, and that's good news. If they're starting to turn it east of us this early in the forecast track, there must be some confidence in the Hurricane Center that it will turn. This is the area we have to watch in the central U.S., a developing front there and an upper-level trough. If that can make it further down into the southeastern United States, it will help to turn this very impressive storm. You get a chance to do some boating tomorrow, well, make sure it's in a big craft because there is small craft advisories. Seas and winds well up there, rough conditions over the inland waterways, and the 5-day forecast, of course, is going to reflect at the moment that close brush with Hurricane Floyd by midweek. Temperatures held down, but notice that we have a very good chance of showers, and some of them very heavy as the week wears on. If the official track were to hold true, late Tuesday, Wednesday could be a real rough day here on the first coast.
Looks like we're going to get plenty of rain this week.
Yes, rain will not be a short commodity this week.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, some of music's hottest stars joined forces today to draw attention to what they call a crisis for America's farmers. Musicians and farmers say there's never been a greater need for farm aid. Brooke Hart has their story.
Taking the stage for the 14th year in honor of the nation's farmers, country music legend Willie Nelson once again led this year's musical crusade called Farm Aid. He says the country runs the risk of losing farmers to hard times.
It was bad, it's worse, and it's getting worse. The prices are low, they can't make any money, the weather is bad, there's so many things going against them.
A musical lineup as diverse as Neil Young to Dina Carter to the Dave Matthews Band brought broad star power to this year's Farm Aid. But the performers want the spotlight on farmers.
Freedom of farm must go.
They came from California and all states in between to demand an overhaul of the 1996 Freedom to Farm law, a law they say lets too few food processors set the price for their crops, forcing small farmers out of business.
When the hurricane hunters went out last night around 1:30 in the morning, they dropped on, found a wind gust around 180 miles an hour. Extremely dangerous, extremely powerful hurricane. Sally, picture showing you at least some good news here now that I've given you a lot of the bad news. You can see the track basically off toward the west, but in the last few frames, if you look closely here, the track's been like this, and there's a little bit of a hiccup up here toward the north, or west-northwest for that matter. See, going right over the line. So maybe, just maybe, there's a little news here that might help us out. Of course, the forecast miles, as they've been indicate basically two possible tracks. One would be right up and through here and then up the East Coast. One more, another one's like right into South or Central Florida, and then just hugging us over the next 2 days. So again, things are up in the air. It's a powerful hurricane. We can't mess around here, folks. Today's weather's looking pretty great, to believe it or not. Sunny skies today. Grab the sunglasses. Keep your ear close to the TV and the radio because you'll need to be updated on Floyd. Today's high temperature around 87 degrees under what should be a beautiful day.
Thanks, John. Let's find out how the roadways look this morning now.
Curtis Wayne checks out.
Hurricane Floyd. Right now, we are told that the Coast Guard is on alert. Plans call for the activation of their emergency center in St. Augustine. But they aren't the only ones wary of Floyd. Folks from here down past Daytona are packing stores like Home Depot. They are loading up on storm staples like plywood, water, and canned goods. Meanwhile, experts are busy tracking the storm. And while they say they can't tell exactly where Floyd will go, they are making predictions about its strength.
This is a very dangerous Category 3 hurricane this time. The maximum sustained winds are about 125 miles per hour. That makes it a Category 3 in the South Pacific Hurricane Scale. The NOAA aircraft reports and the Air Force reports that we're getting are indicating that the pressure is dropping, and we are forecasting this to become a Category 4 hurricane, which means it's becoming even stronger here.
Now, just to give you an idea of exactly how strong a Category 4 hurricane is, remember Andrew Well, back in 1992, Andrew brought devastation to the Miami-Dade County area. Well, some experts warned that Floyd could surpass Andrew in strength. This is Holly Rail reporting live from the Satellite Center, ABC 25 News.
Thank you, Holly. In other news this morning, former Senator John Danforth says he's going.
Past, say, so many hours, been tracking generally off on the westerly track, but in just the last few frames, we've seen a little bit of a jog toward the north or west-northwest. Now, it may be temporary, and that's what they'll be watching for at the Hurricane Center. And of course, we'll be giving you updates on that. But the bottom line is that this is a very, very powerful hurricane. If you look closely here, this is a Category 4 hurricane with winds now, it's hard to imagine this, folks, 155 miles an hour. That's what the estimated winds are here in that hurricane. It's a Category 4 hurricane. Floyd continued to move on that westerly track, maybe a little bit north of due west. And over the next couple of days, you can see the approximate track. There are a number of different scenarios getting played out by the hurricane models. One I kind of like, believe it or not, if there's anything to like here, is that it kind of heads toward the coast, gets real close to the coast, and then kind of heads on up toward New England. And that's the problem for us. If that, in fact, materializes, even though the hurricane remains off the coast and it is in a weakening state, we are still going to have extremely high winds and a pretty good scare around the first coast. Keep in mind, if it's a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, it gets onshore, damage will be excessive, and that's the big fear of the next couple of days. Going to point one more detail out here this morning. There is a hurricane watch in effect. For here? No. The hurricane watch is from about Flagler all the way down south. Here's where the watch is in effect. They're going to be watching here very closely over the next 24 hours because, at least for now, they are the most likely to be impacted, not by a direct hit. Remember what I just said. I said the indications are that if we do get a track, the track may be something close to the coast like this, and then as it gets real close to the coast, kind of heads on up. So that means this region right in through there would be the first to be impacted over the next day or two. So again, for us, we'll be watching for the folks down to the south as we head toward the end or in the middle of the week. Here's another perspective of what's going on for us. What about the rains from yesterday? You can see, forget about it, we've got dry air. You can see this huge little slot of dry air right over us. This is because we have high pressure here, folks. The high pressure is going to continue to give us some pretty nice weather, at least for today. We won't have to really be concerned about these clouds here associated with a hurricane, not for another couple of days, or not until at least another 36 hours, and that would be sometime probably coming up later on. Us here this morning, we probably would not be put into a hurricane watch until sometime afternoon or evening at the earliest. Until then, sunny skies today. A beautiful day. Maybe one isolated shower here or there, but that'll be about it. Nothing like yesterday. Sunny skies. Today's high temperature up around 87 degrees. How are things doing with the traffic? Well, let's find out with Curtis Lane. Good morning, Curtis.
Good morning, John. Watch for downed pole and wires along Emerson Street.
Hurricane into 4 parts. The northeast quadrant of the storm is known to have the strongest winds, and that's which side we will not be on. So as we see this hurricane come very close to us, it looks like we will be on the better side, if there is a better side from the hurricane to be on. We will also see the possibility of some tornadoes throughout the day on Wednesday from the hurricane. This is where we think it'll go for tomorrow, becoming close to the area. Now, for today, we'll just see those northeast winds come in, and there is a small craft advisory due to the strong winds, expected to be anywhere from 20 to 25 knots. Also, a heavy surf advisory. If there is a good day for you to go boating, today would be the day, because after today, we're expecting stronger winds, heavier rain to come in, higher surf, possibly some minor beach erosion for tomorrow with the brunt of Hurricane Floyd coming into the area on Wednesday. Again, we do not expect right now, we do not expect the eye to make landfall anywhere on the East Coast. But since we are so close to this hurricane, coming much closer than Hurricane Dennis came, we will be seeing some very strong winds. Again, the possibility of some tornadoes and some very heavy rain from this storm within the next several days.
What about the possibility of flooding, too? Because a lot of folks got plenty of rain this weekend, and the ground's pretty saturated.
That's right, Patty. We saw the rain yesterday. Again, we're going to be seeing rain probably likely this afternoon. Not due to Floyd, just due to northeast winds. So there is the potential for, as we see more rain in the middle of the week, for some flooding around the area.
Watch out once again for that. All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer. Well, up a little later in business news, another possible huge merger in the cable industry to tell you about.
It's Monday, why not? Also some good news, finally, about gas prices. And are you looking for a good deal on luggage? How about buying unclaimed suitcases online? We'll show you how, coming up.
We bring a storm surge of about 13 to 18 feet above the high tide. And so definitely this is a very dangerous hurricane that is approaching the coast of Florida. We'll watch it for the next couple of days. As it continues to intensify, it is projected to make a turn to the west-northwest and come up just to the east of us here in Jacksonville. Now, the difference between this trajectory and that of Dennis is that it is much closer to the coast. Dennis was about 150 miles when it passed us. This would be less than 100 miles if it continues to hold to this official forecast track, which has been issued by the Tropical Prediction Center from our researchers down south at the National Hurricane Center. So definitely it will be intensifying and continue to work its way a little closer to us. If it does get in the area, it would be most likely around Wednesday or Thursday that we'd see the heavier rains and, of course, gusty winds. Now, for today, high about 85 degrees and just some partly cloudy skies and strong onshore sea breezes to contend with. By the way, we do have a small craft advisory and a heavy surf advisory in effect, so watch out, boaters, if you're headed out into the Atlantic. I'll be back with more in a few minutes. Now let's go to the traffic center.
It turns, then we get like a day later up in northern Florida, and then perhaps a day later we're in the Carolinas.
Many Florida residents have already begun stocking up on storm supplies. American troops will take part in an international peacekeeping.
Earlier today, the order came in for all 13 vessels docked here at Mayport to ship out, starting with the DeWart at high noon. That's what you're looking at right now. A tugboat is getting it ready now. 12 will leave today every 15 minutes until about 2:45. 2 will leave tomorrow. Now, you're looking at the Gold Rover. Now, that is a visiting ship. And, of course, to the right of that is the USS Kennedy. That will leave first thing tomorrow morning. Now, as we speak, 3,600 crew members are kissing their families goodbye. They're loading up the cargo as we speak. Where the ships will go, we do not know. Officials tell us just someplace safe. Now, this was not the situation with Dennis, so you may be wondering, does this deployment mean the hurricane will hit our area? Not necessarily so, says the Naval spokeswoman. Now, she said this is only a precautionary measure to protect ships from hitting each other or their peers and, of course, the crew members. And that's why the order to ship out to sea. Now, we did check in with Kings Bay, Georgia, and NAS Jax. At this time, they have not decided if they will follow suit and deploy. And, of course, we will have much more on this story coming up on Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock. For now, we are live at Mayport. I'm Candace Coleman.
The American Red Cross is helping us prepare for the worst, and Christian Smith joins us now with what everyone should be doing now that a hurricane watch is in effect. Thank you very much for joining us, Christian. We heard someone earlier say that special needs people need to, will be alerted first, but is there something those people need to be doing right now?
Making contact with those family members or caregivers or maybe neighbors, any people that they have contact with that help take care of them on a regular basis. If they're not registered as a special needs individual, they need to be registered in order to get that additional assistance. That's very important.
No, I think we heard Dr. Bob She said that we're going to be affected by this one way or the other, whether direct hit or whether it skirts the coast. What about those people who decide to ride out this storm in their homes? What should they be doing right now?
Well, the people that are in areas that are not going to have to be evacuated, maybe they'll be lucky not have to, those people should be taking the precautionary measures. If they're in a position to board up your windows, to make sure there's no debris or lawn furniture laying around. You know, at a minimum, clean everything out of the exterior of your home, making sure you pick up all of those things that lay around in your yard, even down to hoses and things that become projectile. Making sure that you've gone through and identified the things that in your home that are important that you need to keep in one centralized area. And taking your supplies, and if you are going to stay in your home, again, making sure that you choose a room, preferably a closet, a bathroom, someplace where there's not windows and there's good structural balance there.
Okay, and what about those people who are going to evacuate or ordered to evacuate? Is there something they need to be thinking about right now?
Yeah, they need to be going through, getting the copies of their papers, making sure that they have the supplies, whether they're going to a hotel or to a Red Cross shelter or wherever it is that their final destination will be, they need to make sure that they have the things that they're going to need.
Well, Christian, thanks for joining us, and of course we'll be hearing more from you in the next couple of days at least.
Yes.
Thanks. And if you have any questions, you can call the Red Cross at 358-8091. And there's an important phone number for you to be aware of in case of severe weather. You can find out the latest on the storm from our Eyewitness News team by calling News Channel 4 Hurricane Hotline. The number is 393-9878. Our storm team coverage continues. Straight ahead on News Channel 4, we'll take a look around the state to see how other cities are preparing. We'll take you live to Daytona, then a look at Orlando and Miami. And we'll head out live to Juno Beach. And John's complete forecast is coming up, so stay tuned.
From sex to shopping to alcohol to food, we're getting to the heart of why we get out of control.
Day 4 on the one and only Channel 4.
So it could turn north and threaten Georgia and the Carolinas. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Cocoa Beach.
And there's a similar situation as we travel down the state. In Brevard County, hardware stores are having a hard time keeping the shelves stocked. And in the coastal communities, residents are battening down the hatches, preparing for possible beach erosion. Storm-weary South Florida folks are preparing for the worst. They know all too well just how devastating a hurricane of this size can be. They're not taking any threat lightly. Business has been brisk at hardware stores since Friday for batteries, nails, rope, and plywood. And many stores are bringing in extra staff to handle the increased traffic. And as you can see, no coastal community is taking Floyd's fury lightly. We take you now to Juno Beach, which is just north of West Palm Beach. That's where Florida News Network reporter Joan Murray is standing by live with more on what's going on there. Joan?
Well, the surf is starting to pick up, waves about 3 to 5 feet right now, and we have been feeling the wind gradually build, the outer effects of Hurricane Floyd. Earlier today, we were at a Home Depot, and we saw that people are taking this storm very seriously. All right, here along the coast, many people have been boarding up. We are just across the street from a condo, and you can see that people over there have put up their shutters. They are very fortunate. Some other people do not have permanent shutters. They have had to stock up on plywood. As we said at the Home Depot, the manager there says that he is out of 5/8-inch plywood, but he is expecting a new shipment this afternoon. They are also expecting another shipment of storm panels, whatever they can get from their warehouse. They say supplies are running very low, but they are urging people to be patient. They do expect to get more this afternoon. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Joan. And be sure and stay with us. John's extended forecast is coming up. And again, here's that number you can call. There's the Channel 4 News, Channel 4 Hurricane Hotline. The number to call is 939-9878.
Top to bottom, coast to coast. Now our weather team sees everywhere. Doppler 4.0.